Hello, I am Tarik Toros. Welcome to What's Happening in Turkey. A regime nearing its end. Erdoğan has never been this cornered. For the first time in his two-decade rule, President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan is facing immense pressure, politically, economically, and socially. Turkey's ruling regime, once seemingly invincible, now resembles a dying star collapsing under its own weight. No matter how polished the presidential palace appears, or how much power Erdoğan projects, a critical mass of the Turkish public has turned away. The end of an era feels imminent. Let's consider the numbers. Turkey ranks 108 out of 180 in Transparency International Global Corruption Index. It leads Europe in income inequality. It's among the top 5 countries globally in inflation rates. Over 3.8 million young people face the risk of poverty or social exclusion. 1 in 5 teenagers is unable to continue school after middle school. Unemployment, when broadly defined, approached 30%. Farmers can no longer afford to plant crops due to rising input costs. The justice system, once a cornerstone of the republic, is now among the country's least trusted institutions, with only 15% of citizens saying they trust the courts. Meanwhile, 70% of the population express dissatisfaction with how the country is governed. Over just the last 2 months, more than 3,000 people, including artists, students, academics, and elected mayors, have been detained for expressing dissent. The public health system is deteriorating rapidly. Hospital appointments are delayed by months. Credit card debt has surged, and legal cases for unpaid bills are overwhelming the courts. Economic hardship is not just financial. It's tearing families apart and driving some to despair. And here is the terrifying part. Everyone knows things could still get worse. The opposition in disarray, a jailed candidate, a divided party. Amid this turmoil, the main opposition party, the Republican People's Party, CHP, is itself teetering on the edge. A new legal dispute is now threatening the party's already fragile unity. Rumors suggest that a court decision could overturn the CHP's recent leadership election and reinstate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, who lost the 2023 presidential race to Erdoğan and later stepped down as party leader. If the court annuls the party congress, it could bring back a leader whose political capital has significantly eroded. Current leader Özgür Özel is under pressure not only from internal factions, but also from Erdoğan himself, who appears to want the opposition to block the popular Ekrem İmamoğlu, mayor of Istanbul and a top contender for the presidency. So far, Özel has refused to bow to Erdoğan's expectations. But if Kılıçdaroğlu returns through the courts, it could result in even greater fragmentation, further weakening the opposition ahead of critical elections. Erdoğan doesn't necessarily want an entirely ineffective CHP. His ideal opposition is one that looks competitive, but is predictable and controllable, a loyal opposition that poses no real threat. If he believes a reinstated Kılıçdaroğlu can deliver that, he may be miscalculating. Even a banner of İmamoğlu is too much to tolerate. The Erdoğan regime's censorship tactics are no longer subtle. They are open, aggressive, and institutionalized. In a starting move, the Istanbul chief public prosecutor banned the use of Ekrem İmamoğlu's name, voice, and image in any materials produced by the city government, despite the fact that he is the elected mayor. This isn't just censorship, it's an attempt at political erasure. In response, Özgür Özel sharply criticized Erdoğan, stating, "You are not a global leader. You are a local dictator, a one-man show." The confrontation highlights the escalating tensions between Erdoğan's regime and Turkey's increasingly embattled opposition. Let's not forget, İmamoğlu has now been in jail for 2 months, despite being the most popular opposition figure in the country. At the same time, the CHP's leadership faces potential legal reversal. The risk of both a jailed candidate and a divided party casts a long shadow over the future of democratic opposition in Turkey. The finance minister's London property scandal. While political chaos unfolds at home, another scandal broke, this time reaching into the highest levels of Erdoğan's economic team. Finance Minister Mehmet Şimşek, seen by some as a figure trying to restore international confidence in Turkey's economy, was found to have co-founded a real estate company in London with Abdurrahman Rişitoğlu, a businessman with a controversial track record. The company, London RS Properties, was established in August 2021. Şimşek claims it was merely to purchase a personal home, with no commercial activity. But the story took a darker turn when it was revealed that Rişitoğlu's nephew runs a construction firm that has won billions of Turkish lira in public contracts. The connections raised serious conflict of interest and ethics concerns. Şimşek denied wrongdoing, calling the reports a character assassination. Still, for a country reeling from countless corruption scandals, many saw the London deal as yet another example of Turkey's elite shielding their wealth overseas while the public struggles to survive. A British tourist dies in Turkey. Her heart goes missing. Now, a story that has sent shock waves far beyond Turkey's borders. Beth Martin, a 28-year-old British mother of 2, died unexpectedly while on holiday in Turkey. But the tragedy took a darker turn after her body was repatriated to the UK. Her heart was missing. Beth had reportedly shown signs of confusion and was taken to a Turkish hospital, where she died a day later. Her husband, Luke Martin, said he was not allowed to see her and was initially accused of poisoning her before being released. A second autopsy in the UK revealed her heart was missing, and the family had received no prior notification. In addition, Beth was allergic to penicillin, and her family believes she was administered the drug anyway. The case is now under investigation, but it also taps into a long-standing fear. Turkey has long been criticized for insufficient regulation and transparency in its healthcare system, and for its ties to illegal organ trafficking networks. While there is no direct evidence that Beth's heart was stolen for organ trafficking, her case highlights deep-rooted flaws in medical oversight, patient rights, and institutional accountability. The family's GoFundMe campaign has already raised over £200,000, and legal action is underway. This isn't just about one woman's tragedy. It reflects a broader breakdown. When institutions collapse, when the truth is hidden, and when power remains unaccountable, lives are lost, justice is denied, and society loses its moral compass. I am Tarik Toros. You've been watching What's Happening in Turkey. See you next week.